guys, what's going on? This is Ash here coming at you today in Raid Shadow Legends. Today we're going to talk about 10 criminally underrated epic champions inside the game that I have identified as champions that you guys, hey, maybe if you have them sitting in the vault or if you pull them, hey, maybe you make a mental note. This champion actually has some viability, some utility inside certain areas inside the game. Today we're going to discuss those areas while we talk about these champions. But real quick, I want to throw a question to you guys. Do you have a epic champion on your roster that you use a lot that you don't see anybody talking about, your clanmates or other YouTubers, Reddit, whatever? Do you have a champion? If so, let me know who it is and where you use them in the comments below. Now let's go ahead and jump into my list. So first up, we're going to start with two big, strong tanks, and one is Rockbreaker, Spirit Affinity Dwarf Champion, guys. Rockbreaker, there's a downside. I want to talk about the negative first. His base speed is so slow at 91 base speed. However, he is a monster of a tank for you in Spiders and Dragons, in Fire Knight as well. He does have a one-hitter, though, on his A1, but his job is not to be putting out damage. His job is to keeping the rest of the team alive and tanking for your team. Okay, his A2 is A1, by the way, attacks one time, increases this champion's defense by 4% each time this skill is used, stacks up to 20%. So that's really solid, and that does stack across rounds inside dungeons. On his A2, this is why you can use him in arena, right? Has a 75% chance of placing, 100% chance of placing a provoke debuff on all enemies for one turn. Really solid. Provoke is a great ability on a 3-turn cooldown in this game, and again, it is 100% chance, but what's more is placing a counterattack buff on him for 2 turns as well, which is going to trigger his A1, thereby stacking his defense even more, right? And then his passive has a 50% chance when booked of decreasing the damage inflicted on this champion by 50% each time he is attacked. Not only that, but he does have the defense in the arena aura by 30%, so if you want to use him as kind of this strong, robust, defensive / provoke champion inside the arena, you can go ahead and do that as well. You don't really see him in like platinum tier and endgame arena, but if you want to try something new, definitely go with the Rockbreaker. I love having the provoke ability in the arena. It's nasty, but most importantly, he's going to be tanking for your team, keeping everybody else alive. That is Rockbreaker. Do you want another tank option of the Spirit Affinity? We've got you covered. Verges is probably better than Rockbreaker right now, just my opinion, but you can actually use him in Clan Boss as well. So Clan Boss, I guess a little bit less versatile in the arena, but in all the dungeons, I would actually prefer Verges after his buff a couple patches ago now. Now, he used to be really, really trash, but a lot of people are sleeping on how good he is now. He has a chance of placing a Reflect. His damage is based on defense. He only has one damage dealing ability, though, on his A1. Attacks one enemy, has a 40 or 50% chance when booked of placing a Reflect on a random ally for 2 turns. Not bad for an A1. On the A2, check out this ability. Look at the list of buffs here. Good God, on a 3-turn cooldown when booked. And hey, again, pretty easy champion to book here. Check it out. I mean, only a few books needed for this guy, and most of them are cooldowns, as we saw 2 on the passive and 1 here on the A2. So the Aegis ability has a continuous heal, increased speed, and reflect damage on one ally for 3 turns. Really solid to put on a, one of your allies, one of your speed, one of your kind of nukers, having the continuous heal there too, so helping out kind of your lowest HP ally. And then places an ally protect buff on all allies except him for 2 turns, again on a 3-turn cooldown, and then places increased defense on this champion for 2 turns as well, the big version. So you're keeping him alive. He's going to be tanking 50% of the damage for the rest of your team on a 3-turn cooldown for 2 turns. So super solid. He has a higher speed also at 98 compared to Rockbreaker, which isn't saying much, but still you have that there. And then check this out, the Second Wind, this new passive ability, or not new, but the better passive ability than it previously was. So check this out, can be a 1-turn cooldown here when booked up, okay? Passive, place a shield buff on this champion equal to 10% of their max HP for 2 turns whenever this champion loses 10% or more of their HP from a single hit, which is basically almost every single hit, right? And then active places a 15% continuous heal buff on this champion for 2 turns each time their HP drops below 50%. That synergizes really well with his A2. He's going to be ally protect, tanking for everybody. He's going to have an increased defense. That's going to synergize well again with just his whole kit is all about supporting your team. Verges now is a solid champion, and what's more, he has ally defense in dungeons by 33%. This is a fantastic aura. Now Verges went from being one of the worst epics to really one of the better kind of support epics inside the game. Next up is a champion that I'm probably the most excited about on this list because it's a champion that I will be maxing and building out. I'm in the process of doing so right now. I think I have him to 6 stars, but I don't have any, I need to get him ascended and geared up and everything like that. But I actually saw a video on Scratch AK-47's YouTube channel, so shout out to him, where he was like, dude, are people sleeping on Basher, like a S-tier arena champion for platinum? And I was like, huh? And then he took him into like top 50 platinum and he was killing it. Basher is a beast. Why does nobody talk about Basher? I didn't even know about Basher. Anyway, hopefully I've talked him up enough for you guys. He is an arena champion in a lot of ways, but you can use him in different areas of the game as well. Let's take a look at his kit first. Attacks 1 enemy, has a 75% chance of placing a weaken for 2 turns. That's really solid to have on his A1. An AoE attack, increasing the cooldown of all target skills by 2 turns on a 3-turn cooldown of Stinging Blast. Let me repeat that. That's an AoE that increases the cooldown of all of the target skills by 2 turns. It's like Warlord, who is a Void legendary champion on a 3-turn cooldown. Stinging Blast is one of the most, if not the most, underrated abilities for the arena inside the game, but it works in dungeons too. I mean, you're neutralizing all the opponents for 2 turns on a 3-turn cooldown. Just make sure you're building his accuracy up because the skill is based on accuracy, okay? And then attacks 4 times at random, has a 100% chance, actually scratch that, 90% chance on a 4-turn cooldown of placing a block buffs debuff for 2 turns. So, you know, the cause sphere or block buffs, excuse me. That would be much worse if it was block debuffs. Block buffs. So his cause sphere ability is just a nice kind of final addition to his kit. I mean, basically that Stinging Blast is an insane ability, but then cause sphere just kind of adds to it, right? Blocking buffs on top of putting out some decent damage. It is attack-based champion. His multipliers are not bad, so you can build him as strictly a debuffer or as a nuker. 1498 base attack is definitely serviceable, and he has an HP in all battles by 25%. I can't wait to build out Basher and have a complete champion guide for you guys. So be on the lookout for that in maybe a week or so. So next up is Golden Reaper. So Golden Reaper is a very interesting champion. You can use her anywhere in the game. Obviously she's Void, so no bad affinity matchups, but you can use her anywhere from Clan Boss to the arena to all of the dungeons. She is a speed-based champion, and it's kind of a different option than Haikatoon or Apothecary for you guys. Champions like, you know, Lysandra as well. I guess you would prefer Lysandra over Golden Reaper, but still, she has a really, really high base speed of 111. That's really high for an epic champion, for any champion. It's high for legendary champions, so really nice to see that high base speed. She has an accuracy and faction crypt, so not much there to write about, but let's start with Alacrity, which is her speed ability. Now I want to tell you something about Golden Reaper, guys. The thing about her is you don't need books on her. As a matter of fact, I would build her out kind of in a strange and unorthodox way that I'll tell you guys about right now. I would put in books until I get Alacrity on a 3-turn cooldown. Then I would not put any books, even if I had thousands of books. I would not use any on her, and I'll tell you about it when we talk about her A2. But I would get the Alacrity down to a 3-turn cooldown. It needs to be. Has a 30% increased speed on allies for 2 turns, and then boost their turn meter by 20%. That's a really solid boost on a 3-turn cooldown. It's even better than, you know, Apothecaries in terms of just the sheer speed addition to it. Now on the A2, this is why I wouldn't book her, right? Attacks all enemies. Has a 50% chance of placing a decreased attack debuff for 2 turns. Decreases the turn meter of each target by 20% if they are not under a decreased attack debuff. So if you're using her for Clan Boss, yes, fully book her out because you're going to be, you know, relying on her as maybe your secondary, not your main decreased attack champion on your team. On a 4-turn cooldown, it's just too long. But if you're using her anywhere else, personally, I would prefer to keep that at 50% chance of landing the decreased attack, and instead I would want to get the turn meter reduced instead. I like the turn meter reduction versus the decreased attack unless you're really struggling to just finish out an area. But again, on a 4-turn cooldown, I personally would not. I would still build her out with a lot of accuracy because you need the accuracy for the turn meter just the same, but I would prefer the turn meter. So I personally would not book this ability up, and she's not a huge damage dealer anyway. You're building her out to be as fast as possible on this champion and give her a little bit of sustainability as well, some defense, a defense chest I would recommend on her, speed boots obviously, and then again attacks one enemy, has a chance at decreasing the cooldown of one of the random ally skills by 1 turn. That can be booked up to 50% chance. Harvest of Blood, not a bad ability for an A1. So next up is Husk. He's a Force Affinity champion from Undead Horde. And Husk is, I don't know why people hate on Husk, man. On all the tier lists that I kind of did researching this video, people had him ranked very, very low. But I'll tell you what, man, Husk is definitely a formidable champion in this game. He has a chance, think about him in like an arena team. You can use him, you know, in a lot of different dungeons, in arena, wherever you need a lot of damage and some CC. And that's the thing that I love about him, the crowd control potential on his A2 mixed with some pretty decent damage. So again, attacks one enemy 2 times, has a chance of placing a provoke for 1 turn. So if you want to take one opponent just out of the battle in the beginning, go ahead and use his, or not, obviously not in the beginning, but at some point during your battle, go ahead and do that by provoking them on the A1. On the A2, Despair, check it out guys, 4-turn cooldown here, based on enemy max HP, attacks all enemies, has a 35% chance of placing a stun. That can be booked up to 60% chance. So he is an epic champion with an AoE stun based on enemy max HP that has a decent multiplier on it. You'll notice that his base stats, dude, could they be any lower here? His HP is solid. His A3 is based on HP, so that's good. His attack is unnecessary because his A1 is all you need it for. Don't really need to worry about attack on this champion when building him out. His defense is all right. His speed is solid. So really, when you look at his base stats, ooh, defense and attack both below 1,000, don't read too much into that because again, his A3 based on HP, his A2 based on enemy max HP, which is really solid and decent multipliers. Again, you're looking at a pretty solid champion as kind of a secondary flex spot, both from the stun and of course from the max HP, excuse me, on the A2. On the A1, attacks one enemy, damage increases according to this champion's current HP as well. So Retaliate is a pretty solid ability on a 3-turn cooldown, can deal a lot of damage to a single target based on his HP. So again, you want to build him up with a decent amount of HP for obvious reasons. His A3 scales on it, and of course build him out with a little speed. I would recommend speed boots on him, and I would recommend just a lot of crit damage, as much crit damage as you can land on this champion, with crit rate of course being close to 100% as possible as well. Next up is Jarang. Jarang is a Lizardman champion, magic affinity, and another guy who's pretty criminally underrated in this game. Check out his kit. First of all, his speed's at 100, that's pretty solid. His defense is a little bit on the lower end, so is his HP, so he's a little bit of a glass cannon, so keep that in mind when building him out. But his attack over 1,600 with decent multipliers and a chance or will ignore 25% of the target's defense on his A1. So Armor Piercer already starting out with a decently high damage ability here with decent multipliers for an A1 starting out his kit here. And then Stunning Toss attacks one enemy 2 times. Has a 50% chance of placing a stun for 1 turn, can be booked to a 3-turn cooldown, and 75% chance. So Stunning Toss is a good ability to use even in the arena to totally just take one enemy out of the battle with a decent success rate at 75%. But really on this champion, it's all about the Talon's ability on a 3-turn cooldown, 75% chance to place the strong version of decreased defense and decreased attack on one ability for 2 turns on a 3-turn cooldown. So Talons is great for clan boss, right? If you're lacking that big kind of debuffer, if you don't have Tyrell, for example, Jarang is a great champion to consider in kind of the mid stages leading into maybe what, like brutal clan boss. Jarang can definitely get the job done, and then he has a speed in dungeons by 23%, so you can also use him as kind of a dungeon damage dealer, helping out with some CC, kind of has all of that utility with the debuffs on his A3. So kind of the the complete package in Jarang. Again, we're talking about a mid-tier, or a mid-game, excuse me, top tier for the mid-game champion in Jarang. Next up is Shatter Bones, so go into the bottom of the barrel here to pick out a little diamond in the rough. In Shatter Bones, Force Affinity, guys, he can be used in especially Ice Golem and in Spider's Den. So Spiders in Ice Golem is where you're going to be building him out. He is an attack-based champion. Let's take a look at his kit here. He can be an attack-based champion. He can also be a crowd control champion if you put him in stun gear. He's a great candidate for stun gear, and we'll talk about why. So attack one enemy, places a 25% increased attack buff on all allies for 1 turn if the attack is critical, so not bad, an increased attack on his A1 for all of your allies, and attacks all enemies 3 times on a 4-turn cooldown. Man, if this was a 3-turn cooldown, he would be like incredibly strong, incredibly OP, but it's not. But 4 turns is pretty solid. Attacks all enemies 3 times, which makes him viable if you want to put him in stun gear. You'll either be landing a stun or have a 75% chance of decreasing, or I should say, and have a 75% chance of decreasing the turn meter by 30% on all enemies. That's really solid, again, for Ice Golem, for the minions and the Ice Golem himself, not to mention the waves, and of course for Spider. So you want to make sure the decreased turn meter is based on accuracy. You want to build him out with crit rate, crit damage, and also accuracy is important on this character. And then Warcry, his A3, on a 5-turn cooldown when booked, has a 15% decrease speed debuff on all enemies for 2 turns, and fills the turn meter of all allies by 25%. So again, very kind of Lysandra-esque on this ability, although not nearly as strong as hers, but still Warcry is a decent ability, plus it's on a 5-turn cooldown when booked, so it's not like it's going to get in the way too much of him doing as many hails as possible. So that is Shatter Bones. He also has an aura in the arena accuracy by 70, so probably not something you're going to be using, but either way, Shatter Bones is definitely a champion who I think deserves a little bit more respect in the game. So next up is Faceless from Knight Revenant. Now, we all know about Knight Errant and how much damage he can put out there, but Faceless actually can stand toe-to-toe with him on his Death's Warrant ability. Let's go ahead and take a look at his total kit here. You can see his base stats, defense very low at 738. Yeah, so again, a little bit of a glass cannon here in Faceless. He's not the most, him and Shatterbone are not the most visually, you know, wowing type, awe-inspiring champions, I guess, in this game. However, for some weird reason, I don't know, call me crazy, I kind of like the look of Faceless, you know? I don't know. He's kind of like a, what is he? Like some sort of a crusader or something? Some missionary gone crazy? I don't know. Attacks one enemy, has a 15% chance of placing an extra hit on his A1 fireball. On his A2, has an increased crit rate on this champion for 2 turns, then attacks an enemy. So as you can see, so far nothing to write home about here on his A1, his A2. It's really the Ice Bolt ability. This ability on a 3-turn cooldown says, you know what? Screw everything that you might have. You have a shield, don't care. Have block damage, don't care, which is handy right now in the game. And then we'll ignore 100% of defense. They kind of squeeze that in there at the end of the ability. We'll ignore shield and block damage buffs as well as 100% defense. So Ice Bolt can crit for, we're talking 300k damage. It's an incredibly insane ability in terms of just really heavy damage dealers to a single target. So Faceless, in my opinion, deserves a nod and a little bit of respect because of that particular ability. And then he has attack in the arena on his aura. So again, guys, this is the type of champion that you want to build out with as much crit damage as possible. Try to have somebody on the team to keep him alive, and he'll be helping you out, taking an opponent, one of their champions, out of the game pretty much guaranteed on his first hit, especially in the arena, where really he's a specialist for in this game. Alright guys, so the next up is Cardinal. Cardinal is a champion that you guys can use in Ice Golem, in Dragon's Lair, pretty much both of those dungeons, I guess. I was going to say all dungeons, but really Ice Golem and Dragon's Lair. You can use all these champions in campaign, that should go without saying, but really where she's fun to use is the arena. Now she is Void Affinity, so a little bit tougher to come by. Sacred Order champion on the A1, nothing to write home about again. Poison here, a small chance at poison, 20% when booked. On the A2, 2, heals one ally by 30% of their HP, places 60% increased defense buff for 2 turns also on that ally. Not bad on a 3-turn cooldown. It's a nice kind of mending touch, single target kind of support ability. And then this is it, Redemption. The craziest revival in the game. This is what makes her fun for the arena too. Revives all dead allies, heals them by 25% of their max HP, and then boosts their turn meter to max. So automatically you use the redemption, you build out Cardinal so that she is a tank, right? Build her up with a ton of defense. It doesn't even matter if she's going, she has a high base speed at 104, but we're talking for the arena here. If you're building out for dungeons, sure, you want to make sure you put defense on her, put her in speed boots for sure, but more importantly for the arena, right? You let her go last. Wait till all your nukers go, make sure she stays alive, and then you put Redemption on her, build her out with high resist so she's not getting her turn meter messed with, she's not getting stunned, put to sleep, she's not having to deal with whoever out there, right? Or put her in an immunity set, even better. And then boom, pick up everybody else, and automatically they're all going to attack because they all have full turn meters too because of the Redemption ability, and that is Cardinal, the magic of Cardinal. Really cool champion. So ending off this list, guys, I decided to go with Sanlash Survivor. So what is an underrated champion? Is she even underrated? Probably, maybe not. There's all kinds of champions I thought about including on this list, and I'm like, you guys know that they're really good, you know, but I decided to go with Sanlash because she's one of the newer champions on this list, and she is a clan boss specialist, and I also noticed the rest of this list, there was a couple good clan boss champions, but maybe a little light on clan boss. So let's go ahead and end it with Sanlash Survivor. She's insane for a clan boss. Her kit is made for clan boss, and that's mainly where you're going to be using her. So you can see a pretty low base speed, to be fair, at 94, but a very high base defense at 1365. So on the A1, attacks one enemy 2 times, has a chance of landing Provoke if the champion has no debuffs, heals by 15% of the damage inflicted if this champion is under any debuffs. So again, helping you out on clan boss. The damage is based on defense on this champion. Again, another plus, kind of a check mark in her favor. And then attacks all enemies, decreases the duration of all enemy buffs by 1 turn, increase the duration of all ally buffs for 1 turn. So I want you to focus on that last sentence here on a 3-turn cooldown too. Increase the duration of all ally buffs by 1 turn, man. Put her with your Valkyries, your Skull Crushers, and your Martyrs if you have them, and she's going to be extending that counterattack, and you know, those shields as well if you have them up. If you have a shield champion on your team, basically any good buff is going to be extended. The defense up buff, all those important buffs for clan boss, she's going to be extending those, and that 1-turn extension is incredibly pivotal. It's incredibly crucial to long-term success because it's going to keep those buffs that last for 2 turns on a 3-turn cooldown basically up in perpetuity for your entire battle against the clan boss. And then she has a 50% ally protection buff on all allies for 2 turns when any ally's HP drops below 50%. So it's going to ally protect on all allies when any ally's HP drops below 50%. Also place a block damage buff on her for 1 turn. So she's going to stay alive because of the block damage, and then everybody else is going to take 50% of their damage absorbed by her Born Survivor passive on a 4-turn kind of passive trigger cooldown here when booked up. And then her ally is defense in all battles, which obviously does apply to clan boss. So you run her as your lead for that reason as well. Sanlash Survivor, definitely a game changer for your clan boss team. If you have her, give her a try. I think you guys might be surprised with how much overall extra damage you can put with her over kind of replacement value, whoever you're running lead on your current team. So that is my list, guys. I look forward to reading your champions that I didn't cover in today's video in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and hey, if you like the content here, I'd appreciate it if you subscribed. Join the fam here, guys. 21,000 subscribers. Thank you so much for the support. It really means a lot. It's cool to build up a second channel like this, and yeah, it's just having a blast here. So guys, thank you for watching, and as always, take care, guys.